So before we start, this may look familiar. We've done 2 others up here. If you need me to get the forms, I'll be happy to do it, but
Did they have copies of the
No.
variance? Okay.
Nope.
I guess.
all right.
You want me to go ahead, Wayne? Or go ahead. Yeah, please. Evening, board members. Kyle Garvey, representing the estate of Francis, using,
Hold on.
representing the estate of Francis Makowitz on Randolph Street. The plan in front of you was actually in front of you several months ago, where lots 1B and 1A were one lot. The tree company that's in on that property is going to remain there. When they went back to the bank wanted more equity in the property. The plan then went to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a variance for lot width and frontage on lot 1B of 1.57 feet for the frontage and 2.38 for lot width at the building line. The zoning board granted that on September 16th. There's a note on the plan, note number 5, that refers to that variance.
Okay, good. Any questions?
I'm sorry, can you just say again, you were in here, was it last month or 2
I
months
think
ago?
Sean Riley was in here, yeah.
Okay. What has changed since, because we approved something on this plot,
Yes, we
didn't
did. We signed the plan.
Okay,
We
so
had some
what's-
questions at the time, and it's a lot clearer on this plan than it was on the last one.
Last time we were in here, lot 1A and 1B were one lot.
That's what I thought, okay.
Okay, yeah.
And you said it meets all the dimensional requirements, is my understanding?
With the variance. This is the copy that you people endorsed that, the net, which was, you just, this piece off with the remaining going to Frank's daughters.
So now it's the one
And
A
now
and one
we're
B.
doing this.
Yeah. It's got the appropriate frontage and everything else on it.
Well, based on the zoning variance, correct?
So the frontage was about 2 feet short of what was required? Is that what I'm reading here?
Yeah, it's 108.43 versus 110, yeah, 1.57. And the lot width, which is at the minimum building line of 30 feet, is 2.38 feet, I believe.
Which we could have, fine to sign the plan, but this gives them the building permit also, they went to the zoning board.
Carl, where the shed and the greenhouses, is that where the tree company is right now?
Yeah, they actually utilize the whole piece. And it was the bank that wanted to have it subdivided. Maybe they figured they couldn't pay the mortgage or something. They have something when they took it back or something. I don't know. I have no idea, but it was the bank's doing.
Make a motion, approval not required.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Sign this afterwards.
Really desire, whatever you want to do.
Do you mind if they sign it after and you can pick it up later?
Sure.
Okay.
No problem. Great.
Thank you.
Yep.
Carl, if you want to get it tomorrow, I'll leave it for you at the clerk's office. All right, thanks.
Okay, 6 o'clock, public hearing, site plan Review special permit 1437 Bedford Street, marijuana retail and growing facility.
Just so the board is aware, Dave's not going to be here tonight. He wasn't feeling well. Just told him that Dave was going to be here because he doesn't feel well.
Yes, go right ahead.
Yes, again, Attorney Scott Rubin and Jake Creedon here from Silverstein and Creedon in Brockton. This is a continuation of a hearing that we had last month where we spent quite a bit of time on the plans. The board also reviewed the submittal that was provided by Natural Ag and had some constructive comments about both the plans and the plans. Mr. Leonard spent quite a bit of time to update the plans, to coordinate them with the Abington location specifically, because he had explained last time that he's transferring a license from Brockton to Abington, so some of the materials were specific to Brockton. So I believe I reviewed them, and I believe they should be in order, and Amanda from Driscoll is here to sort of walk you through the important changes that were made on the plan. So I'm going to let Amanda go through those plans.
Good evening. My name is Amanda Langer from Jacobs Driscoll Engineering. I will just go over with you real quick the review comments that we addressed and some items that we've changed. Item 1, the review engineer had suggested a better location for the bike rack, which we did move, we relocated per that comment. He requested a few guardrails be added to the rear where the riprap drainage area is, as well as the front area drainage, which we did provide proposed timber guardrails. There really weren't very many comments. We've shown that the septic system is no longer in service, that has been decommissioned, and the sewer line, it has been installed, all permits pulled, everything is functioning with that as it's supposed to. One of the items requested previously by you guys was that we think about removing some of the pavement and replacing that with green space, which we did provide right along the side of the building here. So that is now going to be green space instead of pavement, so there has been some increase in that. And that's pretty much it that I can think of.
Any questions from the board?
Couple. First is, thank you for updating this. It's much cleaner.
Mr. Leonard did that. Thank you.
There were a couple quick notes. I think I saw in here a reference to gates.
Gates.
I mean, I think you guys have it. It's gates in the entrance and exit.
They've been eliminated.
Can you have him stand?
Okay, so there are no
Ask
gates.
those questions?
Yes, could you use the microphone to answer the questions, please?
And can you identify himself?
And identify yourself also, please.
Thank you.
David Willett, Natural Agricultural Products. A fence originally was going to be put around the grow area, and the Cannabis Commission said it was no longer necessary. So there will be no gate or fence around the growing area.
Just a note on page 16, there is a reference to the city. Just in an update, please change it to town. I know it's a small thing, but, you know, there is a difference. Page 14, it says, the film derived from the cameras, surveillance, really should be surveillance cameras. I don't know if we need to specifically state that it's not film, that it's a recording. I don't want there to be any confusion.
Yeah, no, everything has to be digital.
Yeah, so I would just update that. I know I'm nitpicking a little bit here, but I just want to make sure that it's on the up as much as I can do. And this was raised in a letter as well, but our bylaw does require a 50-foot buffer strip between these and other uses. What do we have right now currently proposed? I know it's an existing building.
Yeah, the existing is 24.4 feet.
And that's just from the lot line?
That's from the lot line, from the buildings to the lot line, correct?
Okay, and there's no other buildings right next to it?
No, this is all dumpsters and
Yeah.
there's no other buildings over there.
And they're requesting waivers on that
Yes, that is one of the
on page
waivers
20.
requests we have.
All right, let me pause there for the moment, if anyone else has anything. Oh, I'm sorry. Has this been reviewed by police in terms of?
They, not that I know of, however, they did get the original copies on this when it came out. They do not have, just for the identification, they do not have direct alarms to the police station. They all go through an alarm company. And in here, as you can see, they have an alarm company that does it and then a backup for them.
But didn't police review the security
They're supposed
protocols?
to,
Yeah.
yes.
And we haven't heard back from them yet?
Well, that might be because we have been
Yeah, that's what
sort of in an interim position.
yeah. So that's what I'm wondering.
If you want to send me just a copy of the security plan, I'll be happy to forward it to our new police chief and see if he can review it.
Is it something more elaborate than what we
And
have
the chief
right
started
now?
today, right?
I
So-
believe the cannabis, and I could be wrong, I believe the Cannabis Control Commission requires that the police department and the fire department and all the local authorities are well-versed on everything that is supposed to go on. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, maybe Gary or Dave can speak better to this, but they're supposed to go over all the security measures with them, security floor plan, which we don't have, that's been omitted from here because that is this is a public hearing, we don't want that to be public information. But that is all something that I believe the Cannabis Commission requires them to do before they will allow them to open doors.
If you can somehow, when that's done, just have them sign off on an email for the file.
Yeah, I think we're also supposed to.
Because I think our bylaw sort of references that
Yeah, I
it
think
should.
they require them
Yep.
to also provide you guys with stuff as well.
Yep, that's fine.
Public.
As long as at some point I don't
Yep.
want the deep dark secret.
Yep.
I just want a yes, thank you, it's been
Yep.
approved.
We can take care of that. The plan has been approved by the state, so
Do we have that letter?
it's part of the provisional license.
We don't get a copy of the provisional license as part of this?
We have the license.
That's in here.
Usually the security doesn't come through a planning board because it's not public
That
information.
wasn't what I was asking, it was the provisional license, which isn't the security.
That's in here.
Everything.
It is?
Yeah, oh yeah, you have to submit all the management operation profiles with the
That would
state.
be on page 21. That's where it begins.
Yeah.
Just to make, get something to write down. On page 8, in the third paragraph, the storage room must document it. You just need to add B and then B on page 8.
Page
D. Must be documented. The B is missing. B.
Yeah.
At what point does the provisional license get switched over to Abington?
I believe after the approval of this plan, is that correct?
Yeah, well,
Yes.
this,
Yeah.
you have to wait for this.
Yes.
Yeah, so to get a final license with the state, you need a building permit, and you need,
No, I was
Can
talking
you
about
guys,
the provisional.
I'm sorry, can you guys take the microphone? The people at home can't hear the scintillating conversation we're having.
right? So the provisional license, I don't think gets transferred. I believe it would just get switched as a final license. And we can't get any further without this approval in order to get the building permits, to get to the next stage and various inspections we need to be able to get through the planning board.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, I do have a concern that the provisional license in this application refers to a bunch of Brockton stuff. So I just want to make sure that, we're,
Yeah, there's only, it's cleaned up a lot more than
no,
what the
but I
last.
mean, the license from the
Can't
CCC.
change
Right,
that.
right.
Right. So you can certainly, obviously, we will not get our final license with the CCC until we get this approval and construction, so the
And that
state
will be
will...
provided to you.
Right, so you can make it, obviously, our final approval here with the town would be subject to us getting the actual final license from the state.
And page 13 gives you the Johnson controls and also connecting to law enforcement, all that. Yeah. Explained there. And he's referring, one of the things is on page 16, on the second paragraph down, it refers to by the city, and that should be the town.
Right, sure.
Just a matter of information. It's sort of interesting when they go on how the cash is handled. It's interesting that it almost sounds like the person that's picking up the cash counts the money, but I get the opinion that it's put in a locked bag and Brinks or whoever else is picking them up takes a locked bag. The guy doesn't count the money on the truck before it gets into the, I presume that's how.
That's correct.
There's not as much cash that's being handled.
Right, I understand that, but it's all
Lately, but-
mentioned in here, and it's
Yeah.
sort of confusing how it's worded.
Most of those issues have been with the retailers, not the wholesalers,
Yeah,
the
that's,
cash, so.
that's on page 17.
Right.
One other question I have is, I know that there's an existing contract with the bus company now that will be supposedly terminated when the owner takes control of the site in a few years down the road. There is no plan in front of us now about what will happen to that space in front of it. And I would prefer it's not left as a gravel pit or gravel parking lot. I'm going to request, or if the board would go along with it, that at some point we see some sort of either a landscaping plan or development plan as to what's going to happen with the space. Again, I would prefer, even though this is an industrial zoned area, that not everything has to look so industrial. So I'd like to know what the long-term plan is for this space. I don't need to see it tonight, but going forward at some point, I would like to know what is going to happen with that area.
We will certainly come back to you when, Mr. Leonard does take ownership, I'm sure. And it's all, depending on the success of the business as well, what exactly he will do with that space. But trust me when I say that, Mr. Leonard is with you on that, and he's, very much in for appearances and like to develop that as well if possible, or do something with it, other than leave it as a gravel pit.
Well, presumably, if it's zone industrial, Mr. Leonard will try to develop it for one of those uses rather than have it be with respect to my fellow planning board member, a landscape lot.
I think he probably wants it more productive than just landscape,
Yes,
would
yes,
be my guess,
yes.
so. That's a lot of land to leave as just landscape.
As a landscape lot.
Sure, yeah, I think so.
On page 33, under term, he just needs to spell out term rather than what is there, and then missing the width needs to be changed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And then there's some confusion on...
Not sure I can fix a lease.
Yeah.
It's been signed, quite honestly,
And
but,
then page 34, there is confusion on when you look at the square footage and so forth, but it's explained on the next page it's a note that square foot calculations include the mezzanine level.
Right.
Of 3,600 feet, if someone was trying to figure out how they came up with the feet.
Right.
And then you could clean up some spelling on page 34 also. There's a number of,
I'm not sure, again, that I can modify a signed lease already.
there's a lot of words that run together that should have a space between them, just to make it look somewhat accurate. And then on page 35, number 2, it seems like something should be before it. I don't know what it is. Something keep them in good working order. We don't know what they're talking about. On page 36, it gets real confusing because 8, 9, and then some of that bleeds over into page 37 on the left-hand side, and isn't, the sentence is on, it's not completed.
Yeah.
And then after, on page 37, after you get on the obligations, air conditioning systems and shall, I don't know where it goes from there. And where does 21C come from, and how does that get involved all of a sudden on, looks like it's on a page 3. And on 38, structural needs to be spelled out, and work commissioned, or I guess that's performed, is the word they want there. And there are a number of words there again that run together. And I made a note to myself on 39, and I don't know why, it says add, I put down add appropriately with marijuana establishment regulations. I don't know why I wrote that, but you can probably figure that out.
Again, I'm sorry, but this is a lease
Yeah.
that's already been signed, so
Yeah. Well,
I can't,
I can't imagine someone signing a lease like this. This is all on a lease then. And then there's confusion on the page 39 at the end. And then even on page 40, they refer to all lights, which I think are supposed to be all rights, R-I-G-H-T, instead of lights. I can't believe, and page 41, I can't really imagine someone signing this without having it.
Was it a conversion error between like a PDF and a doc or
That's
something?
what I'm wondering, if it's a software conversion error, because it could very well be.
somebody scanned it, it's not paginated correctly when it was scanned, so I don't,
It could very well be.
It says lease to all said MOFLGAGES, whatever that means.
I mean,
I think
we
it
can
probably
certainly
means
get you,
mortgages.
And I believe these are legal size printed out.
Right.
Print out as well. I mean, we can certainly get you a copy of just the actual lease printed out in the legal size.
Yeah, what we have here, clearly it is,
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a software error.
it's a mistake, a software error. So if we could
Yeah.
just get the cleaned up copy of it,
Of course.
all done correctly, that's all we need.
And then the last thing, in witness thereof, the parties execute this lease under the seal. It isn't even dated or of a day, but it's of April of 21. But
Yeah, we'll get you a copy of the, the original lease.
always my nightmare when I do my work, is to have a confusion between the software. And of course, it happens.
It happens far too frequently, and then you don't catch it until stuff like this.
Yeah, until you're in a public meeting and
Yes.
people are looking at it.
And the only other thing is, on the front page, it's an old locus that's done, so there's quite a bit of changes on that since, I don't know when they got that, but,
That is from Mass GIS, USGS Oliver map.
yeah, how many years ago?
I don't know where that's from, but. Top garbage.
Well,
I mean, I don't know how often they update them or when that's been updated last. I mean, certainly if you guys have your own GIS system, which I think you do, you can,
I'm surprised that that isn't more up to date.
I'm sure the Old Colony Planning Council has a more up-to-date GIS locus. Andrew Abdal, his reference.
Are there any other questions from the board?
Are you having any signs?
sign in.
You gotta get out.
Thank you.
Gary Leonard, Natural Agricultural Products. Yes, there already is an existing sign at the very front entrance. That sign will be redone by Sign Design, and Chris Barry, the owner of the property, is the one erecting it, just so you know.
So there won't be a sign on the building?
We will probably have a sign on the entrance of the building at this point, and probably 2 signs inside that will be illuminated.
Inside the building?
Inside, yes.
So the exterior sign, it's not in the materials we have today?
No, it's not in there yet. We haven't had the signs actually designed yet. They're still in process.
Odds are, though, it won't be that great big sign that's on the building now.
No, there's already an existing sign out front, and we're just going to reuse the signs. And also the bus company has the lower part of it, and they'll be using it as well.
And there is a sign bylaw, so you'll have to follow that.
Yes,
when the time comes in. Also, one of the things that might not be on it when you first see it is, we are now requiring an address, a street address on the bottom of the sign. It doesn't count for any of the space
We
on
have
the
no
sign, but. Are there any questions from the public? Being none, there are 2 waivers that they're requiring. On page 20, the first one is 17577B 5JQ, the requirement for stormwater drainage design and drainage calculations. The proposed development does not have an impact on the existing drainage and will decrease the existing impervious area on site. And Dave has previously said that was not a problem. Does anyone want to make a motion on that?
I'll make the motion.
Motion made.
Are we done with the public? Is that-
There was no public comment. I haven't closed the public hearing.
A second.
There's no public comment? Nobody here wants to speak?
Did you have a comment? Yes, sir.
Yes.
Please take the mic.
Why would we close it?
Michael O'Donnell, Forsyth Street. I'm trying to find out, so I was looking at the ordinances, and it says that they must provide a police and fire department emergency response, and I didn't see that in the application prior to it being approved.
Right, and that is done through the police and fire, and it's not really a public hearing of the planning board, but they need to do that. And the commission will require it also.
So I talked to the fire department and the police department, neither one has gotten a plan.
I'm not quite sure of that. I don't know.
I have a copy of the email, if you'd like to see from the fire chief.
But they
He was
have,
here 2 weeks ago, the last meeting.
the marijuana commission has to sign off on that before they get a license.
Right, but I'm talking about the ordinance that we have in Abington requires that that is done.
Right, and it will be, yeah.
And it says There was a context map. I went downstairs to the clerk's office, and there was a context map that showed a 500-foot buffer. And according to the ordinance, it has to be 500 feet from property line to property line. It appeared that the buffer context map was only a 500-foot circle.
I guess that's what it's supposed to be 500 feet. What are you saying?
So according to the ordinance, it's supposed to be 500 feet from the property line to the nearest property line
Right.
of any of the protected uses.
Right.
And I couldn't see a map that said that, but it appears that if you go onto the Abington GIS, that it's 400 and something feet from where the dance school is and the karate school, which is where, as per our ordinance, any place where children or minors congregate.
We've had that come up before, and in these particular cases, that has no bearing on it.
It's not within the...
It was determined not to be a problem. What, the karate school, I mean, theoretically, someone could move into a building anywhere and do this, but that's an overlay district, and you have it. Thank you. This is on the emergency plans, right? But he's talking about having the karate school within 500 feet of the building. And that came up when we did the buds, for instance,
Yeah.
which is close, and that was not considered a problem.
No, I don't think it was considered a place where children congregate
Right.
in the context that they're in and out of there.
Karate school and a dance school that teaches children,
Well, that they're in and out of there.
and they don't hang
Versus
out.
like a park that they hang out in, or a beach that they could spend hours at.
So the ordinance says that it can't be within 500 feet of a place like that.
Yeah, but that was, we brought that up, and we went over that with council, and they found that was not a reason to deny it.
And just based on council's interpretation of what a school is?
I think they answered the question.
Yeah,
I don't know how many
Talking
times
to
he
the
has to
planning
answer
board.
the
that was what we got for information from them, and it was accepted.
I mean, as a resident, I'm objecting to that. It's an ordinance that says that it can't be 500 feet within a school or...
Well, I guess it determines exactly what you call a school. So, I mean, theoretically, you could,
It's not a school under
It
the
says,
bylaw.
this is what the bylaw says.
public or private school providing education in kindergarten and grades 1 through 12.
Right.
A state licensed child care facility, library, playground, public park, public beach, youth center, or similar facility in which minors commonly congregate.
And you determine that minors don't congregate at the
Well,
dance school and the karate school?
Yes.
Okay. And there's a reference to a provisional license that was issued to a specific property in the city of Brockton. And there is no provisional license in Abington, but they keep providing a provisional license that has the city of Brockton, which has the Brockton Fire Department's okay and check into, the Brockton Police Department. Everything is for Brockton.
They received, that's my understanding, you could probably answer better than I can.
I don't know what the question is.
Yeah.
I would, if there's a question, it sounds like a statement. If there's a question, you can address a question. This is a statement.
Originally, what they did, they applied for Brockton, where they were going to have this facility. And they got the permit to have it in Brockton. This property came up, and they decided to do it over here. So they brought in what they had for Brockton, which is how they presented it to us, which we said that it had to be on Abington, which they've changed a lot of it around to Abington. They still have to go before the commission. And But they're providing the same things that they did, that they had a permit for Brockton.
But according to the Cannabis Control Commission, they haven't applied to transfer that license, and they have not received a provisional license.
They have, after we approve this here, they have to go to them and get all the approvals.
This is something that we already addressed.
This is outside the scope of what this board is showing, so I'd like to ask the board to get this to a, do we have comments about the specific plan or the location versus technical issues related to?
So you need to go over to the microphone too, I'm sorry.
Sorry, this sounds like this is a general open commentary about whether we comply with very specific things. I think the board is here to review the technical merits of the location. We provided the board with our narrative. We'll deal with this with the state. We obviously will not be open for business until the state and this town approves both the construction of this facility and this location as a viable location by the state. So nothing is going to happen without that. And so rather than get mired into some technical concerns that are going, eventually will be resolved, that's not the purpose of this particular meeting.
No, I understand that,
So-
but we try to make it, the public aware that, trying to answer their questions for them. I'm not trying to,
No, I understand. I'm just saying that
I just want them to understand that, you know, what's going on.
Right, so, again, the application that was submitted to you has a lease that is illegible. Now, whether it was scanned or whatever, but I mean, if somebody applies for a special permit, they're relying on their application that they submitted to the town. Included in that package that I reviewed downstairs, it's an ineligible, unreadable lease.
Right, but whether or not, and I understand exactly what you're saying, and we've criticized them for that, and they will clean it up, I am sure. But the point of it, we're talking about the building and what's allowed there and what can be done, and it's going to be further reviewed, as I say, by the commission, which gets into all these fine points.
So to speak to the site, there's supposed to be a 50-foot buffer between different uses on the
Right,
site.
and we've addressed that. In fact, that's one of the other motions that will be made. And it's an existing building, and at least in my opinion, it's not a problem.
May I real quick, I would like to help you. Can you show me where you're a direct abutter or anywhere close, so any problems that you may have, we can...
No, I was talking about, so to the
No,
board,
I mean,
I was expressing to the board that the ordinance says existing uses on site, not
What I'm saying
abutters.
is, the purpose of this meeting is you as, you're an Abington resident? You are?
Yes.
And are you an abutter?
So what I'm trying to do
He said,
is...
Well, I
Yes,
just want to
I
make sure
don't-
that we're
no,
addressing
you're
these
right, don't
concerns
worry.
as an abutter
That's-
and site.
Right.
So my point is, we have ordinances, and the ordinances are supposed to be followed. And the ordinance says between existing uses on the same site is supposed to be a buffer. Now, we would supposedly applied for a waiver from the abutter.
25 foot and 50 foot.
Right, but I'm talking about within the existing place. So we have a tower, we've got the building,
Yes.
we've got the school bus company.
Right.
So I believe the way that I read the ordinance is there's supposed to be a 50-foot buffer between each one of those. Correct?
Well, what's the last part of the sentence on that section? You're reading half of that section. What's the second half of that section say?
I don't have the section with me. if I want.
It says, unless the applicant can demonstrate and the planning board finds that adequate buffering can be provided in a narrower buffer strip.
Right, so.
So that means if they can prove and show that less than 50 feet is sufficient bufferage, then that's okay.
So I believe they closed out their presentation. Is that accurate?
The hearing isn't closed yet, let's put it that way.
So the way it was explained to me was that they have a presentation, then the public is open for comment.
That's correct.
When they finished their presentation, the only thing I heard last meeting was the buffer along the sides of the property. Nothing to do with in between the uses that are existing on the property. So that's why I brought it up. It wasn't,
It's one piece of property.
right. But the ordinance says the existing use is on the property. So that would be the bus company to this location, to the tower and back. That was what I was requesting. I didn't hear any request to waive those.
There doesn't need to be one for that. The only thing that we have to have a waiver on is the 25-foot and the 50-foot for the building.
The waivers were contained in their application that the board received.
Between the,
It's a general waiver, Mr.
So-
O'Donnell.
so I'm addressing the board.
I'm asking what on the Forsyth. Thank you. The what on the Forsyth, he just said Forsyth Drive, I don't have a number.
12.
12, thank you.
So I was just trying to see is the general waiver of any requirements of any buffers is the way that, because I didn't see any presentation to waive the buffers between the existing uses on the property.
As far as the planning board was concerned, it wasn't necessary.
Thank you very much.
I do have a question for the applicant, just as a follow-up, though. Have you notified the Cannabis Control Commission that you're requesting a transfer to Abington?
Yes,
You have?
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we get a copy of that letter?
Yeah.
Not tonight, but for the file, the next day or so?
Yep.
Okay. Just because I'd like to make sure all those connections are in place.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, huge waste of time
Well,
not to be here without,
Yeah.
that being in process. We can't, our license is tied to a location in a town, so.
Yeah, well, sometimes we get people saying it's not a big deal, and then it turns out to be a big deal, and I always like to cover ourselves
Understood.
at these instances, so
Understood.
if that's okay.
Of course.
I don't have to read that, right?
No. Well, yeah, from the fire chief, yeah.
Yeah, from the fire chief, I have the new packet, however, they have not made the corrections in the emergency plans section that I specifically requested, specifically that any change in occupancy or construction would need to be brought up to current fire and building code. This would include installing any required kitchen fire suppression systems, if applicable, or other updates as needed. I believe at least one of the members of the planning board also requested to have this section updated to include this language. Attaches a copy of the original emergency plan with my notes requesting to full code, as well as update all fire and suppression systems for the new occupancy construction. As the board can see, there are no language changes in the revised emergency action plans section.
I just got that, so I didn't print out the plan. I can give this to you, but I can forward it to you tomorrow, is that all right?
Sure.
All right. Because I don't have the plan he wrote on either. Because I just got here and printed about 10 emails.
Okay. No problem.
Any further comment from the public? Somebody want to close the hearing?
Motion to close the hearing.
Second?
The hearing is closed. On the waiver request, the requirement for stormwater drainage design and drainage calculations, the proposed development does not have any impact on the existing drainage and will decrease the existing impervious area on the site. Motion for the waiver?
Second.
Seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Second one, 17524.3E3, the building existing on the site for the proposed use has an approximate side setback of 25 foot. The proposed use will occupy the existing building, which will be in an existing non-conforming structure that will not be able to maintain the required 50-foot buffer. On that motion.
So moved.
So moved. Seconded. Any further discussion on that?
Just my thought process in this is an existing building, an industrial section that's been there for 40 years. It's next to a tipping company and piles of mulch. To me, it makes sense.
Any further comment? On the motion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Thank you.
Special permit.
on a special permit?
I want to propose a couple of conditions. So in our bylaw, it gives a whole bunch of things we may issue conditions on. It specifically says the SPGA may include the following conditions in any special permit. It includes prohibition on generating odors, security plan that needs approval from fire and police chiefs, contact info to zoning and zoning enforcement officer and chief of the police department. Can't operate in the special permit will not be valid until the applicant has obtained all licenses, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes.
I would like to specifically include all of these in the conditions. So it would be section 2. Yeah, so F, section 2, subsections A through H.
Motion's been made. Any further discussion? A second to that motion? Motion seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You gotta do site plan. You gotta do the site plan. The site plan. You have to approve the site plan.
And also approval on the site plan. As it, yeah, hold on a second. Boy, on approval on the site plan.
I'll make that motion.
With the letter.
And we will refer it to the letter of September 29th, 2021 from Norwood Engineering.
Make that motion.
Motion made. Seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So moved. Everyone said.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Send me an email with the community.
Okay, and I'll send you the fire chief's
Please.
email tomorrow or Wednesday.
The 620 public hearing, 207 Bedford Street, site plan review continued.
Hello. Okay, the applicant is also here at the podium.
Dear Mr. Chairman, board members, my name is Lam Nguyen. I'm the owner of 207 Bedford Street. I'm here to request a special permit continuance to December due to peer reviews comment just sent last week, and my engineering does not have time to reply and send the comment back to them. So they need time to review and reply.
Mr. Chairman, I just want you to be aware that I told both his attorney and the applicant that I asked them to come tonight so the board would have an opportunity to ask him questions, as well as neighbors who now are at their second meeting for this. And it was very last minute, they wanted to postpone, so.
Yes, and Liz had spoken to me earlier. The problem is when something gets canceled within a day or so or less, all the public that show up and not have anything to discuss. I didn't think it was fair for them also. So perhaps Patrick could just, you may not be equipped to answer the questions that come up.
Yes.
And I understand that, but maybe Patrick could just go through some of the things on a sort of a quick basis so that the public could be aware of where we're at this point. Patrick?
Sure. So, just so everybody understands, we did receive revised site plans, and on September 22nd, we did issue a review of those site plans, and we have a pretty extensive list of technical comments. A lot of them revolve around design and construction of the drainage system. There are some zoning items that still need to be addressed. Insufficient buffer zones around the property is one of the biggest items. Some issues with the lighting plan. But again, most of our comments all revolve around design and construction of the drainage system and the construction of the site. So without, getting into those individually, because a lot of these have to do with stormwater calculations, but it's a pretty extensive review letter of 9 pages of items. So they still got a little bit of ways to go before they can resolve those items and they can move forward with the project.
Do any of the public have some questions they might want to ask at this point, particularly that wasn't brought up at the last meeting? Yes. And if you could take the microphone and give your name and address, please.
Hi there. 2 questions that I can think of off the top of my head. I'm wondering if the revised plan, how many floors is it, and how many units, and how many parking spaces?
Can I just have your name and address, please?
I'm sorry, Jan Siri, 104 Everett.
I am aware that the last set of plans, it was reduced to 9 apartment units. And I know that they had an effect on some zoning requirements and rules that were no longer needed. There was a section 17532 that no longer applies. But that's the part I was aware of. They did reduce it to 9 units. I don't have anything on these plans, Mr. Chairman, that actually state whether it's a 1 or a 2-floor building. It says the 9,900 square foot gross floor area apartment building.
On the big, excuse me, on the big plans it showed, it looked like there was still 3 floors.
It's a 3-floor.
Yeah. It was just a picture on one of the elevations.
Oh. Yeah, sheet A104, yeah. So, yeah, they do show 3 floors, yes. Thank you. I'll look right over those sheets.
I think, what was there, 15 spaces? Did I see that right?
Are there any other questions? Yes.
Carolyn Balbus, 112 Everett Street. So you're not changing the building at all, basically. You're just making 2 apartments bigger.
Direct those questions to the chair and then I'll...
So he originally had it for 11 units, and now they said that it was going to 9. But
That's
if it's
correct.
still the exact same building, you're not really changing anything about the building. You're just making 2 of those apartments.
Did the size of the building footprint change back then?
I did not see anything that mentioned that. Matter of fact, we did have questions about the footprint because on those architectural plans, there were several bump outs shown around the building that were not actually depicted on the site plan. So that's one of the issues they do need to resolve.
Yeah, and then the last question too is the buffer zone, especially the one along the back side of the property, was really far under what the zone requires. And so we just want to make sure that that's absolutely upheld when that property is built.
Can I ask the question? It would appear to maintain that buffer zone, there's going to be a lot of other changes. Am I mistaken, Patrick?
No, I think you're absolutely right, Bob. I mean, that was the gist of a lot of those comments regarding the buffer zone.
Yeah.
Is,
It's going to create a lot of changes, and maybe even the building size itself.
Yeah.
My personal opinion. But
Yeah, obviously with the number of units, you have to provide so many parking spaces.
Right.
And geometrically, they only fit in a certain way, so.
It's not up to us to design the plan. It's up to them.
I would add, you're concerned about stormwater drainage. I'm equally concerned about the design, which, as you noted in your comments, doesn't meet our requirements either.
And I know one of the things that's been brought up is it should look more like the area of Abington, Cape Cod, rather than a brick building. So some consideration needs to be done for that.
Yeah, I still haven't seen a good architectural. It was just a kind of a side view of the building and the plan. That's all I saw. My personal opinion, I still think they have a long way to go, hence PMP's 9-page comment letter.
Yeah,
So I have a question for Patrick from DP. Because my engineering say that they're well designed on the storm water management. And I know you like back and forth with the reviews and comments. But I want to come down to a conclusion that what you suggest and what is zoning bylaw from the town of Abington, that we will be able to create something that will get approval.
And the other thing I know on the planting, we're going to need to see it.
Can you just explain to him that the town cannot tell him what will get approved?
Right, it's going to be your plan. It's not our plan. So
It's not up to the town to
right.
it's not for us to do it.
It's not up to us to tell you what to do. It's up to you to tell us what you're going to do and for us to approve or disapprove it or make
Yes. But what
modifications.
you suggest that it will be.
Can't.
And the other, on the landscaping and everything, we're going to actually need a plan rather than it's going to be just general what you're going to do. We need to know exactly what it's going to be. Are there any other questions? Yes, sir.
John Libby, 21 West Chapel Street. I'm on the corner of West Chapel Street, and by the gentleman's project that he wants to put on there, he's going to take away all my privacy. He's going to destroy that whole corner. And he's talking about having a driveway come out on West Chapel Street and one road coming in off of Bedford Street. That's only going to cause more traffic flow and a lot of accidents. I've been there 55 years, and I'll tell you, I've seen an awful lot of accidents on that corner. Now we have it even worse than what it was before, so you can imagine what we're up against. And I'm not happy about the project, but he wants to put 9 apartment complexes in it, and I do not feel that that is the right, appropriate place for him to put a building. However, he owns the land. If you want to put a townhouse there, I'm fine with that. But I feel that this is not a very good idea at all. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
How you doing? I'm Johnny Walker, 4 West Chapel. I live directly across the street where he's going to be putting his driveway / lights. We've only been at the house now a year and a couple months. Part of the allure of moving to Abington was the specific house we bought. The Cliffords were there for over 40-something, 50 years maybe. And what they told us and what we found out ourselves, we actually had our real estate agent contact the town of Abington to ask about the lot next to us. Because if you've seen that lot, it's 1.5 acres, and half the acre is full of trees. It's not forested. And when we bought the house, the Cliffords told us it was considered a Fisher Act lot. And a Fisher Act lot is pretty much eligible tracts of forest or reforested lands. No additional lands may be certified under this section after September 1st, 1974. Fisher Act properties are coded in 3-digit property classifications. So in other words, we were told and promised by the town of Abington that that plot of land could not be built on. So that was part of the allure of us moving to Abington, was we would have privacy on one side and it would not be built. Then my second question for you, well, my first question is, could you define what a Fisher Act lot is? And if this is actually a Fisher Act lot? Because that's what we were under the assumption for.
Can you tell me who at the town told you that?
Our real estate agent looked into it.
It's news to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's something that they told us, so we looked into it, and they said it can never be built because it's, for some reason.
I can't imagine someone telling you that.
Because from from what I was told, the 48 years that they lived there, it had never been touched.
Yeah, that's,
Can
Well,
you,
that's something else.
can
Okay,
you-
my
out
second
of curiosity, could you send us that email though, or whatever message you have, or whatever? Yeah.
We can reach out,
I'd be
yeah.
very curious to see what was said.
Okay, and then my second question is, can you define for us a transitional commercial lot and what that is? Because when we read the bylaws from the town of Abington, it doesn't mention anything about high traffic or anything about having a residential building. We have it on the phone if you want us to read it.
I'll let you look it up.
So this is from the town of Abington. It says the purpose and intent. The purpose of the district is to preserve the residential character of existing development along thoroughfares that are undergoing pressure for commercial development, providing for the transition to more intensive but compatible uses. The district emphasizes the preservation of use of existing structures, provides for buffers, and uses for compatible with nearby residential areas, provides for property owners in such transition areas an additional opportunity to use their land with severely diminishing the amenity and residential value of other properties within and in close proximity to the district, to minimize congestion on major streets and protects the character and appearance of areas that are the key elements of the town by allowing limited, low-traffic generated, non-residential uses which can operate in adapted, expanded existing houses or compatible new small-scale office retail buildings. That's from the town of Abington.
Yeah, that's the zoning bylaw.
Yeah.
No, that's the zoning bylaw. That's not what the Realtor sent to you.
No, that's
No, it's not
Yeah.
the transitional commercial.
Yeah.
And then my only other point was,
Typical uses it allowed.
just to think about the lighting pollution that you talk about is directly in my bedroom window. And it's not like I can move my bedroom to another bedroom because that bedroom will be in the same spot with the same lights coming in. And I have no problem with this man. This is nothing personal. This is just,
We'll have a lighting plan on that. Maybe before they're done, they'll have to give us a lighting plan.
okay. Thank you for the
Does
time.
anyone want to add to that?
No, I don't. I'm not familiar with the Fisher Act. I've not heard of it, so I can't add anything into that.
And multi-unit dwellings are allowed by a special permit in transitional commercial.
But I know one of the comments we did make was, again, referring back to the zoning bylaw, would maintain the character, consistent with the historical New England character of the area. Right. So that was right in that comment letter.
Is there any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Is that, through the zoning? Special permit.
Siri,
zoning
running
board for
forever.
multi-unit.
I think, what I gather from the last time we met was a lot boils down to whatever part of the bylaw that says character and keeping and whatnot. I don't know what section of the bylaw that is, and I don't know the exact wording, but I don't think a 9-unit is in any way in keeping with the rest of the neighborhood.
Also, something that we've brought up before that doesn't seem to be addressed is that this area is a granite ledge. I mean, I have a radon system in my house. She's got granite rocks in her backyard. They haven't addressed one single area that they're probably gonna have to blast. The daycare across the street blasted. You're not gonna be able to put a giant building like this without blasting. And they don't even know if they need to blast. They haven't even looked into it. So if that can be somehow a condition, I mean, that's blasting that close to small houses is gonna destroy our houses.
I know we have some soils and things here, Patrick, and probably.
Yeah, they did do 7 test pits out on the site. And there was, going to West Chapel, there was 2 test pits where they did hit ledge at, roughly 5 feet, give or take. So they did find some ledge over in that area. And that's up to the structural engineer to figure out how to make the foundation work. That's certainly got to be a consideration, especially given the current placement of the building. because the building is in that general area.
Yeah, they have no plans for how to do that properly without damaging the surrounding property.
Yeah, I mean, that's something they'll definitely have to come up with, and again, it depends. If it's actual ledge, it could just be rock that they may be able to hammer and knock out. I don't know at this point.
Are there any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Christina Gage for West Chapel. It just has to do with the rock ledge. Ours runs directly in our house. Part of our basement is that rock ledge. So if there was something to happen, and, you know, being our house is part rock ledge, if there was like something that happened to our house, who takes care of that?
It basically becomes a civil suit between you and the next door neighbor, I can tell you that much.
That's great.
If you could prove that something happened that wasn't there before, but.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Josh Belvis, 112 Bedford. My question is, I know, and I've read the different special permit pieces and things like that too, where with the transitional commercial that by special permit, and I heard you mention it too, that multi-units can go in there. But are there other considerations that go in where there is such that big list of components with the transitional commercial zone? I know, so by special permit, yes, you can do that, but traffic was a piece that was mentioned. That will increase, even if it's a little bit, it's gonna be a big increase. And then with that, we still wanna make sure that we adhere to those buffer zones, like very strictly. It's like, I know with the marijuana location, variances and things like that, but it's like, how many variances or special permits can they approve? Like, how many will he have to do to build that? And it's like, and if we're asking for variances and special permits all over the place.
Each one will be taken on its own merit.
Each piece?
Yes.
Okay.
Anything further? Obviously, we don't have their engineer with us, and there are a lot of questions they have to solve, and there are a lot of, it's a 9-page letter that they have to respond to, which they have time to do that, and quite frankly, I'm not quite sure whether we should just go to the next meeting, or whether it should be 2 months away in order to give you enough time to get this information together, rather than come in and just rehash what we have. We need a plan that will work. Presently, we haven't got a plan like that. So what you need to ask for is whether you want to come back in November or December, or maybe even January. Because you need to have the plans in at least 2 weeks before we have our meeting. And do you think November is available? You think we should go to December?
I do not think November would be enough time for us to get the landscaping plans and all the stuff that you requested, so I would say December would be best shot.
Unless then the next question is, should it be January? But I'm not trying to.
The plans would be due in November.
January is fine.
Okay.
So we have a motion to request by you to extend this to the 6th of December, unless the weather conditions are bad at that
He
time.
actually said January, because the plans would be due in November, so he bumped it out to January.
Oh, you want it to January? Okay, so it would be January 10th. The only thing that might change is, as I say, if the weather's bad or something like that, we might have to postpone that meeting. But on your request to extend the hearing to the 10th of January, and we have a motion. Motion made, seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. So January 10th, we'll continue the
Can you
hearing.
send me a note tomorrow via email so I have something to file with the town clerk? Thank you very much.
Also, I have a full report from the work that has been recommended.
What's that?
Can we have a full report from your company?
You should have it.
Is that the?
Yeah, you should have the full review report, and your engineer should also have it as well. Yeah, if for some reason you don't have it, contact Liz, and she can send it to you again.
Yep.
Okay?
Thank you.
On the zoning, do I have to contact the building for the extension as well?
Are you getting ready to appear before the zoning board? Have you been heard yet, or is it still continued? You need to, do you have a date? Yeah, do you have a date for your hearing?
I'm not sure.
Okay, I would contact Nancy or Tony, and if you have a date for your hearing that's already been...
It's the 14th of October.
14th of October, you're going to have to go to that meeting and ask for continuance, tell them you're not done with this, with site plan. Okay?
So we can't do over the phone, right? We have to come here for the zoning?
You're going to have to go, because they're going to have to open your hearing, because it appears it's already been advertised. Okay?
You don't want to not be there for that.
Sure, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
And again, it would appear that they're gonna have a hard time making that work in the back. But that's up to them.
Thanks, Pat.
You're welcome.
We're done with that. That one till,
We're done till January.
to January.
January.
Good job, kids.
January 10th. Oh, you're very welcome. I'm glad I got you sorted.
And then I took a look at it and you hold it.
Thank you.
And that wall is very difficult. The nice guy. I need to get everybody on board. That's about what you could fit there legitimately.
He came to us with a duplex or a triplex. I said that at the last meeting.
It's just like a townhouse there.
Right, so here's-
That would fit here.
Okay, that's what,
It just kills me that he even have his attorney or
I would like a formal request to withdraw the film permit application I submitted to the board regarding 652 Adams Street. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you. And that's on Pat Kearney on 652. They went before the Board of Selectmen, and the Board of Selectmen made a determination on it.
So moved.
Motion made, seconded. All those in favor?
Comment?
Yes.
So that just eliminates the...
That eliminates them coming before us.
It eliminates the fill bylaw?
It eliminated the...
They didn't have any fill brought onto their property.
Removal or... That's fine.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. No, you're good.
Good. Thank you, Craig.
Thank you.
Form A application, 75 Dale Street, Conservation Commission is invited to attend.
The chairman's there.
And we have our chairman here. And, yes,
Yep. Can I go to the ladies' room very
Yes.
quick?
You want to set the table?
whatever you want to do. If you want to be at the table, or you can be in the seats, whichever's more convenient to you.
Just wanted to show you.
Okay. I just want to make sure
That's
that...
why I couldn't PDF it.
No, that's fine. I just want to make sure that all the rules are in there.
Oh, yeah.
You couldn't forward that to him?
Yep. I wanted to make sure you had a spot.
Right. This is on Form A application of 75 Dale Street. Conservation Commission is invited to attend.
And there were some questions from the conservation, how this stormwater protection plan worked and so forth. And Mr. Noonan, chairman of the Conservation Commission. And I know the questions are on removing the trees, and this hearing tonight is strictly on a Form A, which basically says that it's not a subdivision. And it's interesting when you get into this particular plan, and as we looked at it, there were questions brought up at the last board meeting, is how are they going to get to that house? And will they get to it on a road that's on another person's property? And we got a report from town council that said actually that what we're really doing is saying it doesn't come under the subdivision control laws, and that's what we're asked to do, is to subdivide this land. We can even subdivide land that isn't buildable. It sounds a little crazy, but theoretically you could have a 10-foot frontage, and you would legally have to separate the land, but you probably could do nothing with the land, and many times we will mention it's not a buildable lot, just to make it clear to the person who might be buying the property. In this particular case, we've been somewhat at an impasse, and we have do we have that letter?
Yeah. That's from council.
You think I need to read this whole thing? Or not?
No.
Huh?
No, I think
Just
we could just,
paraphrase this rather than, it's 3 pages, and
I can paraphrase.
it's, right here, the board has the discretion to make the determination, which is what you then ask the
Right, and-
Conservation Commission to do.
the board has the discretion to make a determination whether the proposed access falls into category illusion versus could be better but manageable. And they refer to Gates versus Planning Board of Dayton. It warrants that an A&R endorsement and first category does not. The board may need more facts in order to determine if access is illusory. Those facts would allow the board to determine if the location, character, and size of the interior wetlands are such as to present a physical barrier rendering access to the lots illusory. So I guess that's where the problem comes in. How do you get to the house? But from a planning board standpoint, we could subdivide it. We should subdivide it if they request it. But the next question might be is if the Conservation Commission says you can't get over this land to get to this house, I guess that creates a problem for the people that are living there.
I'm curious if I can quickly. Your thoughts on the final sentence, which says, therefore, the existing access may not be used for access to Lot 1, and the creation of Lot 1 is, in my opinion, creating a zoning issue which may result in enforcement, which, as it appears on the ANR plan, will require a new wetland crossing.
I mean, that would be a zoning issue, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't interfere necessarily with the A&R.
It says the existing access may not be used to access for Lot 1.
they're saying it'll require a new wetland crossing, but I have problems with the law. I have for many years because it's basically, we have no other alternative but to sign it. We're not really approving anything. We're just saying it doesn't come under our rules and regulations.
I mean, there's a whole nother paragraph here that you all could consider, whether or not it has access or it's illusionary.
I mean, the whole reason I think we asked to get involved was to figure out if it's even feasible to create a driveway on the new Lot 1.
Well,
is that why we went to...
They wouldn't be able to get to the fire wouldn't be able to get to it. They get to that and they stop.
I think that was the quote, are they able to build a new driveway just contained on Lot 1 to the house?
Well, it can't get there unless you fill wetlands.
Well, that's, I think, the whole reason the Conservation Commission's here was...
Right, and that would be conservation's. If they got ready to build the driveway, then they'd have to go before you. But it wouldn't have any bearing on us subdividing it.
Right now, the plans that we approved, and we're going to do an order of conditions, the board had some questions on stormwater management.
And stormwater management wouldn't be brought up at this meeting because we would have to have a hearing on it.
Oh, no, I understand that.
Yeah.
But what they want to get more clarity on, the stormwater management won't be in our order of conditions, and does the new stormwater management committee have an order of some kind of conditions that will be put in place? That's kind of the questions that the board has. But it was our understanding that you needed these plans that were presented to us in order of conditions, to be put in place so that you could continue with the stormwater management and the ANRAD.
Right, and we're the stormwater agent in this particular, in the town of Abington.
Right, so the board just has some questions on how the stormwater management, we can approve the plans that were presented to us the way they were presented as far as the conservation looks at it. Because all we're approving is the fact that they're going to put a little bridge over they're going to put a new driveway in to a certain extent, put a little bridge over the little river, and then put the house. Everything else is out of our jurisdiction. But when it comes to the stormwater management, this is the confusion with us not having anything in our order of conditions. The board just would like to know what the new stormwater management...
We certainly would like your input on any decision that we make that has to do with that. And the selectmen and the appointed a committee of, as you know, who they are, and gave us a responsibility of it.
Right.
So with the engineering and so forth, and that will all be done with our engineer. They'll have to do the work.
Right.
Are you looking more for a process question, how it's going to work?
Yes, more of what the stormwater management is going to put in place, because it won't be in our order of conditions. That's more or less what we're looking for. Because we can write an order of conditions on the plans that we're given, but then the process will continue on with the stormwater management and the planning board, and how far it goes from there, we don't know the future, of course.
Right.
So, I mean, we can't comment on this property because we don't have an application in front of us, so we can't say how we're going to do it. All we can say is process-wise.
Right, I think what the board would like to know is, because there won't be anything in our order of conditions, what the stormwater, and of course it's new, the stormwater management committee is new, are you going to have we'll say an order of conditions that'll go along with the plans? I guess that's what they're asking. Is that what? Yeah.
The answer to that would be yes. They would have to come before us.
And there would be, as far as a set of plans and so forth, everything would be down, and if you had any determinations on what you wanted to have done, it would be in your order of conditions, we'll say. Yeah, okay.
The bylaw, I think, as you know as well, is very extensive and specific on what they require in the application and what their responsibility is in making determinations.
Yep.
So you guys can feel free to, I think there should be a copy on the planning board's website. If not, I'd be happy to send you a clean copy.
Oh, it's on the website.
of the
Yeah.
bylaw and the
Yeah.
rules and regulations. The rules and regulations, they just wrapped up with town council, but we'd be happy to share that with you. And generally, when I distribute plans for site plan or subdivisions, I send them, I get 18 copies, and you guys get a copy, fire, police, zoning, everybody gets a copy, and this board welcomes your feedback. So my plan is to continue that with the stormwater management stuff. Use the same procedure and distribute it to everybody and get as much feedback as possible for the board to take into consideration, if that helps at all.
Yeah.
It does.
Also, to clarify, what we'll do tonight is we're going to go in the other room, we're going to vote on an order of conditions on the plans submitted that we've already approved. If things change with the planning board, those order of conditions will become null and void if they have to change the plans that were presented, for whatever reason. If you're saying the driveway isn't any good, then
I think it'd have to go back to you.
I would say if they change the plans, they'd have to come back to you.
yes, oh no, that's what I'm saying. So those order of conditions would have
Yep.
either be null and void, or we would just amend them. So I know it's a process, and just trying to get through it with the new stormwater committee, and I think it's a great thing, because at least you're going to have an engineer. We don't, when they come in front of us with a set of plans. The board just wanted to have clarification.
Yes, ma'am.
Kathy, I'm Kathy Craig, Abington resident, 53 Vineyard Road. My comment would be, when I was on conservation for the last 20 years, we would never approve an order of conditions until we actually had the stormwater management on our plans, because stormwater, you know you're going to put something in. You're hearing it tonight, that they're going to need some kind of system, I think. So it's pretty obvious, because they're over an acre and they have more than just a house there. Normally, we waited for planning to finish, or perhaps the new stormwater committee to finish, because you guys have a professional engineer, but the plans that we would vote on would be the final plans. This is just creating sort of a bit of a turmoil by approving plans without stormwater, because you should be putting the stormwater in before you start building.
The stormwater is a new regulation, as you know.
I understand, but
Yeah.
normally, we're required, because of the nature of it.
This is just an A&R plan, we're not...
Yeah, this is an A&R plan.
I understand, I'm trying, but it's also a meeting of the Conservation Commission as well, right at the same time.
Well, they asked to come here, and that's why we're here. But
Yeah.
As they say, this is an A&R plan.
I know, but they are...
And that's where the confusion came in, and then also a lot of trees were cut down, and there was questions about that done in the stormwater protection area.
Understand.
So that's, yeah.
I understand. I just wanted to make a sort of a process comment that it seems like we are, churning a little bit with conservation. I would actually recommend to you guys to just hold off until you get it, till he applies for the stormwater, because you normally put the stormwater system in before you do the building. So it's kind of backwards. It's just, I think, a good piece of advice that we learned over time, that, you ended up with an amended order of conditions. It's just a conflict for the applicant. It's just easier if he gets one set of orders of conditions with one set of plans. That's all I had to say. Thanks.
And that's why we asked, that's why we hadn't done an order of conditions, to find out about the new Stormwater Management Committee, if they're going to have their own order of conditions on when the stormwater management is either approved or not, if it is approved. It makes no difference to us whether you want us to wait or not. I just thought the process was to help out the planning board and the Stormwater Management Committee, for us to give you an order of conditions on the plans which you submitted with only the house and the new driveway, which is just on Dale Street for the existing property.
It certainly helped. Yes, Bob?
I guess that came in as part of the problem, and we left out a whole section here, whether or not that access is, we think, is illusionary to that house or not. Kind of went to them to prove that, whether or not they had access. And I get some questions on whether or not it's illusionary or not. A little driveway down near the street, and then hike way into the house.
Again, the access is up to the planning board, but all they asked us to do is approved that bridge, which is going to be a walkover bridge, and where the house is going to be, so...
And I think they were trying to prove the feasibility of it to us.
Right,
through you.
right. I don't...
Yeah.
I guess the problem that you also have is, you know, if you have a fire there, how do they put the fire out? I mean, obviously, the fire engine's not going to go over the bridge.
Right. Again, that's not what was presented to us, even though we might have a question about it.
Right.
They just asked us to vote on a set of plans they submitted on 2 specific things. So...
And I think they're trying to prove to us they have access, and I still have some questions.
Yeah, that's
feasible, yeah.
we can't,
Nope.
deny the access and so forth, because that's up to you guys.
We don't normally, but all of a sudden we got an opinion from town council that there possibly could be an illusionary access and the criteria.
Mm-hmm.
And I still have some questions on that part, but we can finish that. Comes to the floor now.
I'll give you just, if, for instance, if they wanted to present to the planning board a driveway to go into the existing house, they would have to come back to us with a culvert and all kinds of other plans to be approved.
There's some big issues with that.
Yes.
So that's,
And I think that's what you were talking about, Wayne, that we'd have a Plan A to actually split the 2, I guess. Again, all we're trying to do is get clarity on the stormwater management and let you know what we're voting on. Anybody else, the board?
When does the stormwater management committee meet?
This is them.
This is the-
But they have...
It's all you.
I would assume you guys could do your thing, and if anything changes, I mean, it's up to
Sure.
you
Sure.
how you do your...
But we're trying to figure out,
thing.
if it'll make your process easier for us to do the order of conditions. And then if something changes, we can amend them or we can not, have them rescinded.
I mean, you've approved the plan, this is just a matter of conditions, so, I mean, you're telling us that it can be done.
They can
Conditions, I
do,
don't know if
yes.
Are the conditions even applicable to what we're considering here? If you guys are saying, yes, you're approving it, but with conditions.
Oh, yeah, we have,
Conditions I don't think matter.
right, we have conditions that, we set forth on setbacks and so forth and so on. The idea is that we're not approving a driveway to the existing house, we're approving the driveway that they proposed to us.
Okay.
Is that...
He was there to approve if they saw where the
Little bridge,
footbridge was going
yeah.
to be, and
Right.
the circuit rider didn't have a problem.
Right, but the planning board is the one who will figure out if that's feasible or not with having a driveway stop and, like you say, in the fire department.
Is your order conditions part of Lot 2? Or just Lot 1?
Our order of conditions is for the bridge and for where the house is going to be.
Okay, so it's not Lot 2 then? Oh, okay.
The new house.
The new house, yes, okay, all right, I get it.
Can you do me a favor, Paul? Can you remind me why you're looking to do this consolidation at this point and everything?
Sure. Paul Backus, Grady Consulting, on behalf of the applicant. Currently, the parcels that are out there consist of approximately 8 or 9 different parcels. The applicant owns all of the parcels, and the intent is to bring the parcels together so that he has 2 individual lots. One with the existing house, which he has family living in, and the second where he will construct a single-family house with a barn. So the proposed location of where the applicant wants to situate the dwelling and the barn, they would fall across existing property lines. So by merging them together, we're just creating one lot. We can have the applicant have the driveway into the house with the proper setbacks, proper zoning requirements, so that he can build his house.
But you're actually making it 2 lots, right?
Correct, 2 lots, yes.
And then, again, the problem came with access to the house on Lot 1.
Right.
And that's what we presented to the planning board. We presented a driveway, we showed we can have a pedestrian access up over the stream to have access to the house, so that the Lot 1, in the event it was ever sold or there was a dispute, they are not using a shared driveway. That was the key issue the last time we met, was the shared driveway. They would have their own access into and out of their lot, their house, from Lot 1 onto Dale Street. They would not have to use the existing driveway, which would become part of Lot 2 under this proposed A&R.
And how many feet is it from the river to the house, existing house? It's like 150, 200 feet?
I don't think I brought a scale.
Rough guess.
Give me a second. So I'm sorry, what are you asking for again?
Just what the distance is from the intermittent stream to the house.
It's approximately 180 feet.
60 yards. I mean, so if this, I guess maybe this is more hypothetical for the board. If this is approved as is, who gets inconvenienced if there's a problem down the road? Is it just the owner?
Well, there are some other issues also. The Oakland Road that goes down there, which whether or not it connects other properties or not, it's a good question. And obviously, if someone bought the house and had, I know in certain cases where you have no longer got access to your property, many times the court will decide where that right-of-way is going to go through someone else's property. So someone else loses something in the process, because you cannot have landlocked land. On the other hand, it isn't landlocked. The problem with it is you can't get there without wading through a stream, theoretically.
I'm not talking a gorge. I'm not talking a 20-foot granite cliff. We're talking a stream that has, it might be expensive to build over it, but it's
it's possible.
Feasible.
And again, I guess my only problem with it, normally with an A&R plan, we don't consider any of it. But does this, they took the driveway away from the existing house, and then they proposed a small driveway out at the road, a bridge over the stream, and then hike a football field to the house. Is that, in my opinion, that's not adequate access, but that's just one board member's opinion. And obviously, we asked Amy for an opinion, and it's kind of under the discretion of the board. And I wouldn't have a problem with it if it was the new lot. Good luck, build your access. This is an existing house. That they're taking the access away to build another house. That's my problem with the whole thing. Other than that,
And it's under one ownership.
now,
So
until you subdivide it and they sell it.
Why doesn't the...
So my opinion, if I was a building inspector, I would be making them go to the zoning board and get access from one driveway for two houses, but that is my opinion. And the building inspector may say that. But we're taking the house off, the building inspector may not even have an opinion on that anymore. Because the house is existing, he's just gonna have an opinion on the new lot where they're gonna build the house. And they stole the access from the other house. Not stealing, but, you know.
Well,
to me, it's kind of a...
At present, it's going to work until somebody ends up owning one of the other lots and they decide they're not going to get along, and it's not a right-of-way. It's not set up as a right-of-way through the other property.
Otherwise, I wouldn't have a problem with it if we were just A&R'ing it and the existing house had its own driveway still, other than, I don't think that, my personal opinion, I don't think a little driveway out at the street qualifies as access. That's my opinion. And if the house was right there, it would be one thing, but it's a football field away. And apparently there's some case law that we have the discretion of whether or not it's an illusionary access or manageable.
I, for one, would say it's illusionary. And I have problems signing it. I said that when we first
You know, the rest of it with Oakland, according to Amy, that turns into a private matter. But the division of the two lots apparently is the planning board's. With the determination of whether or not that's feasible access.
Is there any reason why we couldn't move the lot line over on Lot 1, more on Lot, what amounts to being Lot 2, to give that land to the first house?
You want to keep the driveway with the existing house?
Yes, it would seem.
There is the wetland, it would be a significant more of a wetland impact to build a new driveway to the right of the existing driveway. There's a much larger area of wetlands.
So in other words, you can't get...
The proposed, under this scenario with Lot 1 getting a new driveway and a pedestrian crossing across the stream, we do not go through any wetlands to construct this. We just cross the river, cross the stream. So that particular proposed setup, a proposed plan, has the least amount of impacts to any sort of environmental impacts.
But there's no way to put in other words, there's no way to get a road to the house on Lot 2. Is that what you're saying?
It would require a significant it would have a bigger footprint impact, environmental impacts.
Question. Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Why can't they put the little driveway over on Lot 2 and hike into their new house? Instead, they leave the existing house with a lousy access. I wouldn't even have a problem with it if it was 2 empty lots, but it's not.
Say that again?
I said I wouldn't have a problem with it if it was 2 empty lots, but it's not.
Right.
I guess that could be a hardship with the zoning board for a shared driveway. Just an opinion.
The last plan that just came before us this evening was one of those situations where they went to the zoning board and got the variance from the zoning board and then came back to the planning board and we redrew the lot lines.
Was it a shared driveway situation?
In this particular...
They got a frontage variance.
Yeah,
This would be a little different.
But it actually reduced the frontage and they gave them permission to have a building on that lot without the total frontage that they needed. I think they needed 110 feet and they had 98 feet.
It's different. It's definitely different.
So you would request that we go in front of zoning to get a shared driveway variance?
Anything that would, yes, it would, that might solve the problem. And not only that, otherwise you're going to come in here with a subdivision plan, which you really, that's another issue altogether.
Doug, how wide is that river right there, or the stream right there?
The width of the stream?
Yeah.
Probably not more than 10 feet.
All right. So we're not talking the Charles River here?
I'm sorry?
We're not talking the Charles River?
Oh, God, no. And it's seasonal. But, I mean, it's surrounded by wetlands. You're not getting away from the wetlands here now.
Just a quick question for the conservation. Have there been situations where you have approved driveways over intermittent streams in the past?
There are some in town. I know there's one on Summer Street. There's one down off of Hancock that they put a culvert in and so forth. So yeah, this has been done before in town, and as long as the culvert can handle the water, it's fine.
I mean, my thought, and I don't want to make assumptions on behalf of the Conservation Commission, is that, again, this isn't the Charles River, it isn't a gorge, it's something that can be engineered. It may cost money, but it's a problem that can be solved. So I think that, there is access if they want to open up their wallet to build over it.
If I may, even right out here, Rick, to get to the field?
Yeah, I mean.
Okay, that's,
Or the bridge to get into this complex.
Yes.
I mean,
right,
that's essentially what we're talking about.
yes, exactly.
So, I mean, there is access. They just have to write a check and fix it.
Yeah.
Or there are other options too.
Yeah, I wish they would just do a driveway, a street, small road, whatever it is.
Private way.
Would they have to replicate,
Private way?
would they have to replicate a lot of wetlands that they're going over to, or not? Would they have to replicate that wetlands that they're going to now have a road over?
It depends on how much they disturb. It won't be much, because I don't think it'll be 5,000 feet is what the maximum is, but if you're only widening the driveway, then
You're talking about the plans we proposed?
no, if you were gonna widen the driveway, I guess what they're asking about is having a common driveway, or making it a roadway.
You're talking a new culvert design, and yeah, there would probably be wetland replication.
Right, but you have plenty of land for the replication someplace.
There is some upland in the area, kind of on that plan where we kind of showed a proposed path that showed the access, from the driveway to the bridge to the house. Most of that is upland, and that would also be a good area for wetland replication, because a fair portion of it also lies within the flood zone.
Yeah, he also brought up a good point. We've got a couple of projects in town that only had 2 houses on them that did a private way. So it's a glorified small roadway, but it's nowhere near a full-fledged subdivision roadway. For 2 houses, you know what I mean? There's 2 places so far. Busateri, and the other one is Buckley Place.
Buckley Place, yep.
I'm not an engineer, so I don't know what's involved in making the driveway up to.
Does Terry have to go to the zoning board to get approval?
I don't remember.
I don't think so.
It's a long driveway that forks off into 2
But it
really
has
big
some drainage and stuff on
Yeah.
it. It's
Buckley Place?
Yeah.
Buckley Place.
Another one.
Yeah, no, but I don't think they went to the zoning board for that. That was just us.
But they still were subdivisions,
Right, so it was a
and
separate.
we're not asking for a subdivision in this case, I guess. They were
Oh, it's a
subdivisions,
thought.
and
Go that direction.
they were private roads as compared to town taking over the roads, and we gave them special permission for the width of the road and things like that, sidewalks and so forth.
We gave them a bunch of waivers.
Yes. But with the understanding it was a private way, they would maintain they'd maintain it and so forth.
We were gonna do that for those 2 houses off Orchard, too.
Right.
That all fell apart.
Yeah, they decided not to because it was gonna be cost prohibitive to do so. But
That's correct.
as a planning board, we said you could do that.
We allowed it, yes, but then, yeah. I would suggest you go before the zoning board and see what you can work out with that.
Can I talk to the applicant outside for a
Sure.
minute? Thank you.
It's got some other options, I don't know if they're feasible at this point. What they're presenting, I don't think he's gonna.
Yeah, I think there's more here. More opportunities here.
I don't usually say much, but I get a feeling. Again, if it wasn't an existing house. They might make it exist.
Thank you. All right. So just to clarify, you're asking that we go through zoning to utilize the existing driveway as a shared driveway and get a variance for that?
I would
guess,
think that...
can I make a comment? I guess
Yes.
we're at the point we're offering suggestions. At this point, I would make a motion the A&R plan gets denied, and you guys are going to have, we obviously offered up suggestions. It's not what we're requesting. An alternative, that would be my opinion. It's either you withdraw the A&R plan, or I'm going to make a motion to deny it. And then you guys can figure out your options from there, I guess. I'm not going to tell you what to do.
I mean, they obviously take us to court on this thing, and if, you know, they want to make a ruling
I
on
mean,
it.
if you read the rest of this, Amy's opinion is part of that, whether
Right.
the access is illusionary or not. But yeah, that's an option too. You can always take us to court. I don't think that's...
And
I think they can come
you'd
up
rather
with
deny
another-
this
I think
thing?
they can come up with another way. Either they're going to withdraw it, or I'm going to make a motion to deny.
So in other words, they could withdraw it, and they could come back with it.
Yeah.
And there's no problem with that, so...
Right,
Or do you,
and-
can we continue until we go before the zoning?
I don't have a problem with that either.
You don't have a problem with that? Okay.
No, it doesn't, one way or the other. You're either, you're coming back one way or the other.
Our problem is for us not to act on this.
You're gonna get it by
You
right.
get it by default, and we certainly don't want that to happen.
Yeah, no, and we've been issuing continuous letters.
Right.
We can issue another one prior, up until we go to zoning, see what zoning says, to
So-
use the shared driveway.
We could have a motion to... Yes, sir.
Is there room for public input?
Sure.
Sure.
Doug Ulwick, 99 Dale Street. I live next door and downstream from this. I appreciate the fact that you're recognizing what I recognized when I read the town council's opinion, that what's been proposed is illusory. I've lived next to this property. I've walked down this driveway many times. I think there is a solution. It is going to take some zoning board interaction to pull it off. But the driveway, as it stands right now, today, is a lot wider than what's shown here. I think the driveway could be widened, the existing driveway could be widened further towards the existing house with minimal impact to the wetlands. You're going to have some, there's no doubt about it. You're going to have to extend the culvert, no doubt about it. But run the property line right down the middle of the wider driveway, and then you've solved it. I think in this zone, it's 10 feet wide for a driveway. So if it's 20 feet wide, run the property line down the middle. Now, obviously, the problem is your driveways are not as far apart, they're not far apart at all, as the zoning board would require. That's a concern. Also, the zoning board says your driveway has to be 3 feet beyond the edge of the sideline of the property. That couldn't happen either. But in terms of coming up with a solution that is most sensitive to the wetlands, that gives real access to both properties, I think it's the way to go. And
Well, that would be their determination.
yeah, exactly. And it's just as long as ideas are being thrown out on the table, I thought I'd throw that one out. And I appreciate listening to it.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So your suggestion, there's enough room for 2 driveways there with maybe some relief from the zoning board on...
We're almost there
on the lot
now.
line.
We're almost there now. It's
Yeah.
not a 9-foot driveway anymore. We're up to over 12.
Or to the part like Pusateri Way, they could do a subdivision plan and do a roadway with maybe request some waivers.
Perhaps.
Yeah. I just don't know about the wetlands and the engineering.
Right. But as the engineer said, the worst part is the most wetlands are upstream. Downstream, once you've gone under the culvert, things are a little tamer. The culvert design is questionable in that the driveway floods right over the top of the culvert. And the last owner doubled the culverts there before he sold it. So
That obviously might come with the stormwater management stuff.
thank you.
Thank you. Interesting.
So, you want to have us continue this until November or December?
I would need to square away the zoning schedule first.
So you're looking probably January or February,
When's
right?
the-
Because you have to get it on agenda and then get a decision. And you can't get on the October agenda. You can probably hit the November agenda.
Let me just check with the applicant if that's okay.
Okay, yep,
Oh, he says it's fine.
okay,
He says it's fine.
all right,
Yeah, so I'll get you another letter,
that'd be great,
and I think the existing one is good until this Friday.
it is. And hopefully it won't take that long,
Okay,
it's just better safe than sorry.
yep.
The Farmers Almanac said it's gonna snow this winter, so.
I'm sure you guys
Says that every winter.
become creative, hopefully.
So we'll continue it to November 1st?
For now, yeah.
No,
Oh, no.
no, we're gonna continue it till January, I think.
I'll give Nancy a call, see what this, an
Yeah, I
estimated
think if
schedule
we get
is.
into
and
So it'll
then
be
give you the-
January?
November or December, so if we give you till January, that should
Yep.
be sufficient.
So January
2022.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
At this point, we are not going to do the order of conditions tonight with
We're not
the
gonna-
result of what has happened, and there might be new plans coming forward and so forth, so we're going to hold off, but just to keep this going so you don't run out of time, we're going to request that you ask for a continuance for our board also. So if you get in touch with Tony, and I know it's going to be a while until you have it done, but that'll just keep this process going, so you don't have to come in front of us with a new notice of intent. We can...
There will probably be an updated notice of intent once we get the stormwater.
Yes, right.
Together.
But you want to work on the same DEP number?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so if that's okay, we're going to just
Okay.
leave it like that for tonight.
Fine, thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All set?
So we have a motion to January, whatever the date was. Second, and all those in favor say aye. So moved.
If I could just have those plans back.
The zoning board of appeals agenda.
Just more of a question, I guess, and I guess it's just throwing it out there. Orchard Lane, they're looking to make looking for a finding. A finding to make a non-conforming two-family into a three-family on Orchard Lane?
Yeah, I don't know what...
Center Ave.
Oh, was it Center Ave or Orchard Lane?
The owner lives on
Oh,
Orchard.
okay, all right.
Basically, I think it's an attic
Okay, I
unit.
thought that was odd. Thank you.
I do have another question, though. The one after that, I guess, is on Dorsey Street.
So you had no problem with that, Center Avenue?
No, I thought it was on Orchard Lane.
Okay.
Yeah.
The next one, though, is this part of the Cynthia Drive sub-development? I couldn't figure out where they're looking to build, because 24, 25, 34, and 35 are on opposite sides of the road.
It's odd and even numbers.
Is it at the end of a road or not?
Well, it's Chamberlain splits it, but I don't think Chamberlain was ever built.
It could be a...
Portion of Chamberlain was built.
Yeah, but not this portion.
No,
So this is running into the end of the street, then? Is that why it
Yeah,
could
so
go across the
it's
street?
24, 25, Chamberlain, 34, 35.
So Chamberlain Street's going to be cut off? Is that what they're doing? Does Chamberlain go anywhere?
grab the plan?
Yeah, that'd be,
Recap?
yeah, it's really weird. Like, I guess my bigger question is if this is part of the,
Subdivision.
that subdivision.
It's Richard Rosen's, right?
Yeah, well, now
Century
they're
Estates.
adding another unit to the subdivision. Does that affect anything that we've approved?
Yeah, it does. Well, I mean, if it's outside the parameters of the subdivision that was approved,
That's kind of my question.
that had already happened once with a corner lot
Yeah.
that the board had no say in, because it was outside the parameters of the subdivision.
Yeah.
But let's see if it might be a paper road.
And then the Doris Drive one, is this the issue with the woman who had the food truck? Do you remember that? that came up? Not with us, but like on, I think it was on one of the Facebook groups.
No, I don't.
Okay.
With a commercial property? I don't know what that was on.
No, it's residential. I think she was keeping a food truck on her property, or a couple different vehicles.
It's in a 30 zone.
Yeah. And D and 21H is all, 21H is actually open lot storage. Sorry to drag this out, but.
All right. A rarity, I put my hands right on it.
Well, it's just skill.
Right.
Goodness. Yeah, so I thought it was 24, 25, 34, and 35 from there.
So where are they using frontage? Oh, did this get constructed?
What is it? It probably is.
Oh, this is, it's constructed now.
Yeah.
But I don't think this is.
It's not that they can use the frontage here. That would be frontage on a, but it's not frontage on a public way. It's not. This new constructed piece is not accepted yet. This existing, right? See Murphy Street, and I think that lot was over here, I think. I forget where. That's where that other lot was. But where it says not constructed is now constructed, right? That's what they built. And this is the lot.
See, the lot's not big enough for a home. That's-
Right. So if these are the two lots that they're looking to build, there's no frontage on Chamberlain Street because it's not constructed. And Dorsey Street is now constructed.
So Chamberlain is this green strip here.
Yeah. But that's not a public way yet because it hasn't been accepted by the town.
But it's still.
So theoretically, the other problem you always run into is the length of the street, so.
Well, they're not building here, they're just going to build on those two lots?
I understand that.
Yeah.
So they block the street off, then all of a sudden this goes over 500 feet, they can't build anything here, they have to have a cul-de-sac.
Right.
That's just another issue.
But more importantly, if they're building here, do they have to come back in front of us because now they're expanding the subdivision?
Well, they're using 24 too.
It says 24, 25, 34, and 35.
So these two and these two?
But it's not these two.
No, it's these two.
It's just these two, that attaches to that.
Hold on, Tony's in the room, let me see if I can get the plan.
That's not gonna be a problem.
She's calling, let's see if I can find it. It's EMK Trust, right? Well, 68, 68, 81, and 82. Which would have to be here, right?
Some of the wrong business, 19 and a half hours constitute $2,777 for 19 hours of work. Yeah. Wrong business.
So there's the street.
So they occupy all the additional here.
If they have the frontage on.
And it looks like, yeah. So they're going over private
They're stop-
undeveloped way.
They're stopping that road from going through, if
Right.
it was ever going to go through.
Right. This dwelling includes being the roadway. Here's lot 24, so this is, it's actually these 4 lots.
I mean, at what point, what's the process for unwinding the paper roads?
It would have to be, I believe, that has to be abandoned by town meeting, by a vote of town meeting, right?
If they own the feet of the road, that letter we got from Amy and that other thing, it becomes a private matter if somebody
Right.
wants to access it. So if we were to Form A that together.
Right, but they still don't have frontage on a public
They
way.
must think they have enough frontage on that road in the subdivision.
But they don't, here's the lot in the subdivision, right here.
That part of Dorsey Street is developed,
Yeah, but it's not accepted yet. Right?
It's somebody else's project. So the guy who owns these lots doesn't own this part of the street? Or is this privately owned right here?
Halfway.
No, that was part of the subdivision.
That's part of the
right?
subdivision,
Yeah.
but that would make access to part of the subdivision roadway.
Yeah, but it's not public yet, that's part
Yeah,
of the
well, they
road.
couldn't build the subdivision, they didn't public yet either. They had a part of the subdivision.
No, these lots are outside the subdivision.
Yeah,
That little extension of Dorsey Street wasn't part of the
These-
subdivision?
Well, it's an access road at least to the,
Somebody thinks they, whoever is doing that thinks it anyways.
do you want to make any comments to them?
I would make a comment that this seems to be a lot of complications with this, and to clarify, the
Chamberlain Street.
Chamberlain Street, access to Dorsey Street. Do we need anything about the wetlands issue? Would be this?
They're just asking for the environmental impact statement. Right? In the floodplain wetland.
well, they're asking to construct the home. They're asking to waive,
Yeah, just environmental impact statement.
me something about that.
Interesting. Well, it was good to cover it then.
The other one on Doris Drive involving Stacy Smith, does that have to do with the person who owned the food trucks or was storing a couple of trucks out in her side yard? Do you know?
I don't know off the top of my head, but that sounds plausible. Yes. I know they have, the enforcement agent has fined her. So am I sending that to the,
About Dorsey?
Yeah, okay.
Please.
So we're all set on those both projects? We got them covered? On this thing, Liz, these are the same, all the same dates, is there?
oh, because I'm a moron. So you'll cross those out now. I'll add those to the next agenda. So just put as amended, and then I'll
Okay.
come back
All right, so
with the right ones.
on the minutes that you have in front of you, can we have approval on those minutes?
As amended.
As amended. There's a few questions, and I just made some typographical changes on it. Which, a motion?
Motion to approve the amendments.
Seconded?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. And I just marked it up. You
Okay.
can keep that.
Thank you.
Discussion of town council's response to questions on stormwater rules and regulations. Do we need to get into that? Or are we all set
I
with
don't
that?
think so. I am going to make the appropriate changes that can be made. We're still waiting for a section number from the general code people. They tell us what bylaw number it is, so we're just waiting for that. And but we have had our first applicant.
They've applied officially?
They have not, I don't have the application,
Okay.
but they have requested that I sent them the application and all information, so.
So was this one of the ones that the AG had a comment on?
No,
Okay.
no, that was clean and free. It was zoning. That was part of the general bylaws, and these were zoning bylaws from this last time around. And it was because I had via Zoom and no specific time attached to them, I think was the thing. That should be cured very shortly. They sent that back, and the cure for that is to advertise it with, they give you a bunch of steps. We actually did that the day she got it. So they should be all set very shortly.
Do we have a clean version of both the bylaw and the
We do.
guidelines?
The last one is clean, except I had highlighted areas. I was waiting for town council and the number. So I will get rid of the highlighted areas, and I will give you, I'll send everybody a clean copy of it, so you have it.
Slow.
And I'll send you a copy of the application, which was sort of the sample application that we used in our conversations. I'll send you a copy of that, so you know what we're looking for.
And any other further business other than the fact we have to sign those plans, the A&R plans, early this evening? Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion made, seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. So moved.